Not only did I get to see it, I got engaged at Lake Louise.
Ooh,
I got engaged at Lake Louise, did I?
Good for you.
I have.
I know, right?
I told you I'm very excited.
I'm very excited too.
Very excited.
We all are.
Yep, I'm not the only one.
So was that, so which way did you went from Vancouver?
Oh, Wayne, I have an experiment. Could you walk over to the mic? Yes.
Yes, it was.
So say like testing your Shabbat Shalom or something.
Testing and like Shabbat Shalom.
Don't stop talking.
Okay. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Just keep talking.
Can I possibly do? I don't have my...
Okay.
Okay? Gotta get the balance.
Stu, I'm all set.
How are you? Okay, when? Yes, I've known Simon since he was when I first came.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to all of you, both those of you who are here in the sanctuary and those who are worshiping with us this evening versus live stream. It's always a delight to be able to celebrate Shabbat together. This is the last of our summer services, so I just want you to know how much I've enjoyed spending the summer with you, and Back Row Sally is looking forward to being in the back row next week. We begin our service this evening on page 120. We invite Simon Clissold to join his mom for candles and kiddush. Simon is off to college on Sunday. I was just remembering how, you know, when he was born, he was born here. He was named and welcomed here in the sanctuary. He celebrated his bar mitzvah, his confirmation. I think he's the only one I can think of who celebrated all those life cycle events here in our sanctuary. So we're happy to have him with us this evening. And of course, we all know how talented he is, and we're wishing him well as he takes this next step in his journey.
She fibbed a little bit, but that's okay.
Okay.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ava uvratzon hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah lemikra kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim kivanu v'achata Otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. Chaim.
Chaim.
Simon, Daddy and I could not have a son with a more willing heart than you. Thank you. I love you.
Love you too. She's crying.
I'm
Don't forget to call your mother.
Sally bought him a pillowcase that says, "Call your mother." Yeah.
We're also very pleased to have Cantor Clissold back with us this evening. And we missed you. We had a great time, but we missed you.
Thank you.
And, you know, I sang a little too much, so I'm trying tonight to be better about that.
We're all ready for that, Sally. Got a whole system now.
I think the sound system has been fixed a little, and it's much louder now. I have to really be careful.
No, you're fine. You can actually sing as loudly as you want.
I don't know, the choir gave me your message, which was, don't sing. We are now on page 127 as we read responsively. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain.
On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share.
There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We turn the page and join together in the singing of Ma Yafeh Hayom.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
We continue on page 146, 146, as we rise for the call to worship.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Together in the Hebrew, the next page, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chachma potech sha'arim, uvitvanem shane'itim, u'makalif et hazmanim, u'mesader et ha'kochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golei alor mipnei choshech, v'choshech mitnei or, uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil bein yom ubein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu la'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
May be seated. We read together on page 155. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedavar kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh, malchutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe Miriam, Zehelianu ve'ameru, Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch, le'olam va'ed. V'ne'emar kifod Adonai et Yaakov, u'yalom miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch Ga'a Yisrael.
Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lo ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
Page 164 as we rise for the Amidah.
Adonai sepatai tiftach ufi yagi tehillatech. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Hayam Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora En Elyon Omer Hasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zoher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot Mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem L'man Shemo Be'ahava Melech Chozer Moshiach Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh Kol Atah Rav Nehoshia Marin Atah Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed Bechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim Samich Noflim Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayehim Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Bal Givurot Umidam Melach Melech Memit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua V'neman Atah L'Hachayot HaKol Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh Doshim B'chol Yom Yahalu Chasela Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
May be seated. We read together at the bottom of page 172. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant as our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel, who sanctifies your name, may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu b'yamacha Yisrael, tfilatam b'avat tekabel, tehi l'ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, el karov l'chol kora'av, p'nei el avadecha v'chonenu, shefok ruchacha aleinu v'techazena einenu, b'shivacha l'tzion b'rachamim. Baruch atah Adonai ha'machazir shechinato l'tzion. We read together at the top of page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha U'Lecha Na'eh Lahodot. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim La'olam Ki Atahu Melech Adon L'Chol HaShalom V'Tov Be'enecha Livarech Et Amacha Yisrael V'Chol Eit V'Chol Sha'ah B'Shlomecha Baruch Atah Adonai HaMivarech Et Amo Yisrael B'Shalom. We continue silently with the prayer of the heart.
acceptable to you, be acceptable to you. O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. O Lord, my rock and my redeemer.
We continue now with Seder Kriyat Torah, page 363. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah, and let their children, who do not yet know it, hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God. Please rise.
In kamocha va'elohim Adonai v'kim ma'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshavtecha b'chot or v'ador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai himloch le'olam va'ed Adonai uzemo yitein Adonai yivarich et amo v'shalom Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Lecha Adonai Hagedula Hativeret V'hanetzach V'hahod Ki chom v'shamayim u'va'aretz Ki chom v'shamayim u'va'aretz Adonai Amalacha Ani taseh lechol Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim ba'olam omed Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim Al shlosha devarim ba'olam omed Al haTorah ve'al avodah ve'al gimilut hasadim Al haTorah ve'al avodah ve'al gimilut hasadim Ha'elenu b'toratecha v'tamer b'neinu v'nikvotecha ve'achel le'vavenu ve'ahav u'mirat et shemecha ve'lo levosh ve'olam va'ed ve'lo levosh ve'olam va'ed Ha'elenu b'toratecha v'tamer b'neinu v'nikvotecha ve'achel le'vavenu ve'ahav u'mirat et shemecha.
Tonight we read from the portion called Shoftim, Deuteronomy chapter 16, beginning with verse 18 on page 1456 of your Red Torah commentary. I'm going to read a very short portion tonight. Because it is shown in the Torah as just a short little paragraph. And it has in it, it's actually, this whole portion is about the governmental structure of the ancient Israelite people. And in this section, we find those words we all know, tzedek, tzedek, tirdof, justice, justice, we shall pursue. And two things to say about that phrase. Rabbis wondered, why does it repeat tzedek twice? Would have been enough to say tzedek, but tzedek, tzedek. to remind us that it should be justice for the rich and the poor, justice for the Jew and the non-Jew, justice for everyone. And then it says, tirdof, you shall pursue. In other words, we don't have the ability to just sit and wait for justice to happen. We have to be out pursuing it and making it happen for everybody. For the blessings this evening, we call on David Hecht from our ritual committee.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Mavarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher barchar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Stay right here. Shoftim v'shoprim titein lecha b'chol sha'arecha asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha lishvatecha v'shaftu et ha'am mishpat tzedek. Judges and officials shall you appoint for your tribes from the settlements that Adonai your God is giving you. And they shall govern the people with due justice. Lo tateh mishpat, lo takir panim, v'lo tikach shochad, ki ha-shochad ya'aver einei chachamim, v'salef divrei tzadikim. You shall not judge unfairly. You shall not show partiality, and you shall not accept bribes, for bribes blind the eyes of the wise and upset the plea of the just. Tzedek, tzedek tirdof, lema'an techiyeh v'yarashta et ha'aretz asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach. Justice, justice shall you pursue, in order that you may thrive and inherit the land that Adonai your God is giving to you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam, nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thanks very much. Okay, Simon, want to?
So just happen backwards?
And then,
Oh, please
please
rise.
rise.
Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Lai 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 lai
Our Mr. Bayrock prayer is on page 371. While the Torah is still in our midst, we pray for all those who are ill and unable to be with us on this Shabbat. May the coming week find them stronger. We think especially of those who are hospitalized and those who are recuperating at home, those who need our support during their time of suffering, and those who seek the assurance of God's love. And these we mention by name. Rabbi Robert Orak, James Appio, Nancy Baskin, Martha Brandween, Walter McWilliams, Martin Gale, Norma Cohn, Miriam Salons, Eileen High, Shirley Wold, Greg Mish. Are there others you are thinking of this evening in a prayer for healing? If so, please mention their names as my eyes go around the room.
Karen Levinsky.
Joshua Stein.
Elise Creighton. Andrew Davidson. Ken Taxon.
Barry Gilchrist.
Chuck Priesand. Strengthen within them, O God, that wondrous power of healing that you have implanted within your children. Sustain them and those they love with courage and faith, giving them the ability to meet life's challenges with patience and hope, and blessing them with that sense of wholeness that is Shalemut. Strengthen also the hands of those who care for them, and to be with all those in our midst who come this night in need of healing. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. We praise you, O God, source of healing. Amen.
Our prayer for healing can be found on page 371.
Mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishabera imotenu. Mikor habracha leimotenu. As those in need of healing, with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Page 374, Yahalalu et Shem Adonai, ki nisgav shemo levado. Let us praise the name of Adonai, for God's name alone is exalted.
It's Chaim Lamachazikiba V'tor Mechecha Meushar V'rachecha V'chenom V'chol Kimotecha Shalom Ashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu kekedem Chadesh Yameinu kekedem.
May be seated. Well, this being the last of our summer services, I thought we would do something different and have a little fun together. So I prepared a few questions for you to see how much you know. So I'm not going to call on you. I'm going to wait for you to volunteer. So there are only 5 questions. So the first one is, why do we light 2 candles on Shabbat? Why don't we just light 1? Maybe we should have 3, 4. And Mr. Clissold, do you have an answer?
Is it because God separated light from darkness on the second day?
No. Good try.
I gave my best shot.
That's a good try. Anybody else want to try? Shabbat, as we know, is the only sacred day mentioned in the 10 Commandments. And those commandments are repeated twice in the Torah. And with regard to Shabbat, each one is slightly different from the other. In the book of Exodus, we read Zachor, remember the Sabbath day. And in the book of Deuteronomy, we read, Shamor, keep the Sabbath day. Now, the words call to mind the first verse of Lecha Dodi, Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad. Keep and remember a single command that the only God caused us to hear. Keep and remember. Two different versions of the fourth commandment, which is why we begin Shabbat by lighting 2 candles instead of 1. Now, we keep Shabbat by observing the various rituals associated with it. Lighting candles, saying Kiddush, eating challah, coming to services, setting aside time for Jewish study, prayer, and reflection, for renewal of spirit and refreshment of soul. Acknowledging that we are part of a people whose mission it is to perfect the world. Now, I suspect that most people would consider remembering the Sabbath to be an easier task than keeping the Sabbath. But the task is not quite as simple as it may sound. Pinchas Peli, in his book, Shabbat Shalom, A Renewed Encounter with Shabbat, reminds us that nothing whatsoever changes in the ongoing routine course of nature during the 7th day of the week. Heaven and earth are the same as on other days, and the act of sanctifying Shabbat takes place solely within, inspired by a secret shared revelation between God and the individual. Nothing external serves to remind us of this day, and we could overlook it, just as we might conceivably overlook a birthday or an anniversary, which we wholeheartedly meant to acknowledge. Remember the Sabbath, this despite the pressures of work, business, or play, which engulf us and make it all too easy to forget that another week of life has passed and it is time to pause before a new beginning. And the true beauty of Shabbat is that it comes completely independent of us. Not when we decide we need to rest, not when our duties at home or at work permit us to take some time off, but with the sunset of every Friday afternoon, as it did at the very beginning of time, and as it will continually assign forever. Okay, your turn again. Why do we cover the challah?
I think I know. Because you have to do the candles first and you don't want to insult the challah.
And you don't want to what the challah?
Insult.
Insult it. All right. Very good. It's not the candles we're worried about, it's the wine that comes. Many of our customs and ceremonies are designed to teach us a lesson about Jewish values. Covering the challah is one of them. It teaches a lesson about compassion. Our sages taught that we cover the challah so it will not see that the blessing over the wine comes first. We do not want to hurt the challah's feelings by letting it know that the wine takes precedence. Now, in Judaism, compassion, or as we say in Hebrew, rachamim, is among our most important midot. Midot are Jewish moral virtues. It is interesting to note that compassion is considered to be a feminine quality because rachamim comes from the Hebrew word rechem, which means womb. And over the centuries, it was thought that women developed an extra gene for rachamim, making them more prone to be compassionate than men. Rachamim is also one of God's greatest attributes. In the Talmud, we read a discussion had by the rabbis of old in which they wondered, what are the prayers that God recites? It was obvious to them that God does pray because we are commanded to imitate God, and if we pray, then God must pray too. So, what does God pray? What are the words that God uses? May it be my will, says God, that my compassion may suppress my anger, and that my mercy may prevail over my attributes of justice and recompense, that I may respond to my children with mercy and compassion, and stopping short of the line of strict justice, act for their well-being. Like our ancestors, as the holy days approach, we too are looking for God's compassion and mercy. Number 3, why do we put a mezuzah on our door, and why is it slanted?
In the V'ahavta, it says mark your doorposts of your house and on your gates, and
Okay, so it is a commandment, and we just read it a few weeks ago in our Torah portion, and a mezuzah really is a symbol of Jewish identity. It's like saying to the world, we are proud to be Jewish. There are, of course, many other meanings, and I noticed, for example, that in the English version of the V'ahavta, which we read tonight, it said, do not leave them meaning God's words, do not leave them at the doorway of your house. What that means to me is that when you leave your home, take God's words with you. Take the values of Judaism, represented by the mezuzah, and reflect them in the way you treat other people. And when you return home, take those same values and bring them into the house with you and reflect them in the way that you treat your family. So a mezuzah is not just there to mark that this is a Jewish home, but to make us think about the values of our tradition and to let us reflect them in the way that we act each and every day wherever we are. Now, the slanting of the mezuzah. Anybody?
I think they were arguing which way to put it. One said put it flat, someone said put it straight, so they compromised, put it on an angle.
Very good. It is an example of a compromise. The compromise was between Rashi, the greatest of biblical commentators, and his grandson, Rabbeinu Tam, in the 12th century. Rashi instructed the people to post it vertically. But Rabbeinu Tam thought it should be horizontally. And so with two great scholars having a difference of opinion, it was decided it would be best to compromise and put up the mezuzah slanting inward toward the house. Okay, why does a Jewish wedding end with the breaking of a glass? Have you been to a Jewish wedding lately?
There's a couple of reasons, but the one I always remember is the marriage should last as long until they can put together all the pieces.
Oh, very good. Not too many people know that. Now, I remember having to write a paper on this very question when I was in rabbinic school. And what I found was that, like many customs and ceremonies, it had its origin in superstition. And it was meant to frighten away the evil spirits. Later on, it came to be connected with the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. A reminder that at times of great joy, we should remember there are times of sorrow as well. Personally, I don't think that's an appropriate way to end a joyous occasion like a wedding. It seems to me to be like a down note, and I don't think we should walk out with thinking of that. So I have two other interpretations that I use. One, a reminder of responsibility, and the other, a wish for happiness. One of the reasons we break a glass is to remind us of the brokenness of our world and the Jewish people's responsibility to repair it. Okay? We have that responsibility to do tikkun olam, repairing the world. And the second meaning is, like Susan said, the happiness of the bride and groom will last as long as it takes to put all the pieces back together again. And since that is impossible, their happiness will last forever. And certainly that is the wish we all have for every bride and groom as they embark upon their life together. All right, now this last question, everybody gets to answer. So you have to listen very carefully. Don't have to say anything, you just have to raise your hand and vote when we get to that part. Okay? One of my favorite pieces of rabbinic literature is the Talmudic tractate Pirkei Avot, a collection of sayings that represent the spiritual wisdom of our ancestors, and at the same time teach us something about how our rabbinic masters often taught their students in days of old. In the passage I'm going to share with you, Rabbi Yochanan sends his students out into the world on an assignment and then evaluates their work when they return. So as I read this passage to you, I want you to put yourself in the position of the students. Pretend you're one of the students prepared to answer Rabbi Yochanan's question. Rabbi Yochanan said to his students, "Go forth and observe what is the right way to which a person should cleave. In other words, what is the best quality that people can acquire to lead themselves to righteousness?" Now listen carefully, because in a minute I'm going to ask you to vote with one of the students. But here, let me tell you first what they said. Rabbi Eliezer said, "A good eye." Rabbi Joshua said, "A good companion." Rabbi Yosef said, "A good neighbor." Rabbi Shimon said, "Foresight." Rabbi Elazar said, "A good heart." Okay, so those are your choices. How many vote for Rabbi Eliezer, who said a good eye? Okay, Rabbi Joshua, a good companion. Okay. Rabbi Yosef said, a good neighbor. Rabbi Shimon said, foresight. Okay, Rabbi Elazar said, a good heart. Well, well, well. After these answers were given, a discussion ensued between Rabbi Yochanan and his students. They agreed that each answer was worthy and had a positive side to it. A good eye refers to those who look for the good in every person and do not begrudge others because of their good fortune. They are satisfied with what they have and are not constantly eyeing what others have. Having a good companion teaches one to be compassionate and caring for all humanity. Having a good neighbor teaches one to be a good neighbor. Although we can be a neighbor to only a small number of people at one time, if everyone would strive to be a good neighbor, the world would be a much improved place. People do not have to set out to fix the whole world by themselves. We can begin by improving our own backyard with the hope that others will follow our example and improve their neighborhoods. Having foresight means that a person takes the time to think ahead and contemplate what will be the results of his or her actions. Having a good heart is based on the recognition that in ancient times it was the heart and not the brain that was considered to be the seat of one's thoughts. Therefore, having a good heart means that one's behavior is ideal and one does not easily lose his or her temper. So once the discussion was over, it was Rabbi Yochanan's turn as the teacher to share his opinion. And Rabbi Yochanan preferred the words, as did most of you, to Rabbi Elazar, who said, a good heart, because those who have a good heart will be all the other things mentioned by the other students. They will be good friends and good neighbors, generous to others, and able to think before acting. So it was like Rabbi Yochanan, I too prefer the answer of a good heart. And for an extra bit of proof, I look to the words of our Torah, which next month we will be completing and starting all over again. The last word of the Torah is Yisrael, and the last letter is Lamed. And the first word of Torah is Bereshit, beginning with the Hebrew letter Beit. And together, Lamed and Beit form the Hebrew word Lev, which means heart. In other words, following the values and virtues found in the words of Torah will enable each of us to live life with a good heart. So may it be. Amen. And now we call on our president, Wayne Hallard, for the announcements.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
On behalf of Monmouth Reformed Temple, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us here tonight in the sanctuary and via live stream. We have some announcements, which we always have. For more information, the following events can be found in the weekly e-blast. Torah study is tomorrow at 9 a.m. The Rabbi Search listening groups are underway. It's very important that we gather information from our congregants regarding the search for a new rabbi for MRT in 2023. We want your thoughts and strengths, or about the strengths and challenges of our coming years. And please sign up for one of our sessions. Space is limited. More sessions will be added through September. Next Friday, September 9th, at 7 p.m. is our Welcome Back Shabbat service. Bring your favorite cookies for Oneg, stay and schmooze. Our sanctuary will be dedicated to Rabbi Priesand during services, and there will be also a baby naming. We hope you can join us. Once again, MRT will have a booth at the Red Bank Street Fair, which will be held on Sunday, September 11th. Volunteers are needed to help plan, staff, set up, and take down the booth. Contact the MRT office for more information and to sign up. Our High Holy Day services will again be held in person in our sanctuary as well as on live stream. More information will be sent out to the congregation soon via email and snail mail. Don't forget to verify and submit your names and donations for the MRT 2022 Memorial Book. Sisterhood is once again sponsoring Fabulous Foodie fundraiser. Choose from apple pie and honey or chocolate babka and honey. Orders must be in by Tuesday, September 6th. Our September Tzedakah box is dedicated to No Limits Cafe in Red Bank. The No Limits Cafe is a lunch cafe that employs adults with intellectual disabilities. They are a charitable organization that trains and employs adults with intellectual disabilities to give them the ability to be contributing members of society. There are members of our congregation who are very sensitive to scents. MRT strives to provide a scent-free environment in our building. The MRT community asks that you avoid wearing scents of any kind when coming to our facility, and we ask you to tell your guests who visit with us as well. Thank you for being our partner in creating a scent-free environment. For the protection of our MRT family, please stay home if you feel sick or if you've been exposed to COVID. Our synagogue continues to engage together in meaningful ways. We would love for more people to invest in our mission of helping others and connecting as a Jewish community. We welcome your investment and gift to help us to continue to grow. For information on joining our MRT family or making a donation, please contact Jordana Steinberg in our office or visit our website, www.monmouthreformedtemple.org. And Cantor is always available as well. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Wayne.
And one more personal one that's not here. I would like to thank you, Sally, for all these weeks that you've been here for our summer services. It's been a real treat. For someone who was not a member when you were the rabbi here, it really gives me a lot of joy, and I've learned an awful lot. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Wayne, thank you for saying that. I too want to thank Rabbi Priesand for filling in so beautifully and always teaching us. And I always learn so much from you, Rabbi Priesand. All of your words are so important. I also want to say that I had a feeling it would be a hard test because when there's only 5 questions on the test, generally speaking, it is a hard test. And one of the things I admire about you is that your expectations of everyone else are based on the way you also live your life. So thank you for that, for being that role model to all of us. And I've really enjoyed this summer leading with you. And Rabbi Priesand will be leading on Yom Kippur. Rabbi Priesand will be leading at least once a month during the year. And we are very blessed to have you with us always. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I may have to come up with another test. We continue now with the Aleinu, page 586, as we rise and pray together.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekenu l'yotzer bereshit, shehuna t'shamayim v'yotzer haaretz, u'mashav yikaro b'shamayim yima'al, u'shchinat uzo b'govhei meromim, ואלוהינו אחד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Continue on page 596. When cherished ties are broken and the chain of love is shattered, only trust and the strength of faith can lighten the heaviness of the heart. At times, the pain of separation seems more than we can bear, but if we dwell too long in our loss, we embitter our hearts and harm ourselves and those about us. The psalmist said that in his affliction he learned the law of God, and in truth, grief is a great teacher when it sends us back to serve and bless the living. We learn how to counsel and comfort those who, like ourselves, are bowed with sorrow. We learn when to keep silence in their presence and when a word will assure them of our love and concern. Thus, even when they are gone, the departed are with us, moving us to live as in their higher moments they themselves wish to live. We remember them now, they live in our hearts, they are an abiding blessing. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, on the Shabbat, we remember these who have gone to their eternity in recent days. Larry Landman, Marie Canepa, Shelley Nussbaum, and these whose yahrzeits have occurred during the past week. Theodore Atlas, Isaac Blonder, Esther Brandwein, Marvin Finkelstein, Bernard Goldberg, Samuel Harritz, Elaine Hilson, David Jones, Frida Young, Morris Cockstein, Lillian Davis Kasweiner, Edward Kieser, Lillian Kesbaum, Karen Kleinman, Leonard Kleinman, Eve Lapel, Alan Lowenstein, Milton A. Mausner, William Palmer, Charles Sills, Joseph Soloway, Milton Stone, Louis Tiplitz, Anita Ermacher, Michael Yagoda. If there are others for whom you are saying Kaddish this week, please mention their names now.
Maggie Priesand.
Margot Hecht.
We remember them along with our own loved ones who are no longer with us. We remember the goodness they brought into our lives and into the lives of those they knew. We remember also the great men and women who have lived on earth and their contributions to humanity, even as we recall all those who have died, al Kiddush Hashem, for the sanctification of God's name. Humble gratitude for their life and love, and with steadfast faith, we rise now to sanctify the God of life. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbi, v'yalma divrach rutei v'yamlich malkutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'yisman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbi mivarach le'olam u'olmei olmaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu, leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom b'mramav, Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu
the source of peace send peace to all who mourn. May God comfort all the bereaved among us, and where'er such may be, and let us say, Amen. Conclude our service on page 677 with O Guide My Steps.
Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps, and help me make each day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Ufros Aveinu Sukkot Shelamecha. Ufros Aveinu Sukkot Shelamecha. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps, and help me make each day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Oh, guide my steps.
We conclude with a moment of silent meditation. Eternal God, source of all goodness, on this Labor Day weekend, we join our fellow citizens in giving thanks for the blessing of work. Help us to know and understand that no matter what our occupations are, our talents and abilities should be used for the benefit of others and the well-being of all. For those who seek work, let us provide jobs. For those who cannot work, let us provide sustenance. For those who do work, let us ensure that they receive fair compensation and treatment in their labor. Establish, O God, the work of our hands, and help us always to be productive, patient, focused, and insightful, knowing that we are partners with you in completing the work of creation. May we be successful in all our endeavors, and may all our citizens know the joy of fruitful labor. Baruch atah b'voecha, blessed were you in your coming in. Baruch atah b'tzetecha, may God's blessings be with you as you go forth from this, the house of God. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.